There's a lesson that I've learned over the past few years is number one, things are never as good as you think they are. Number two, they're never as bad as you think they are.
If you could change one thing in Utah politics overnight, what would it be?
Everything doesn't have to be a fight. I think consensus is different than compromise, right? Consensus is we look for areas where we can agree and we work on those areas.
Sure.
It doesn't mean that I take 50% of what I want and you take 50% of what you want and we both leave unhappy. By nature, I'm a consensus seeker and a problem solver, and that's what I'm looking to do.
And what advice would you give to a first-time candidate in any election?
Hands down, work your heart out. I realized very quickly that you're going to have half the people upset with you half the time and the other half happy with you half the time, and then the next day they flip. And that's okay.
Welcome back to Lighten. I'm Guru Sowle, your host. And on this episode, on this show, we have someone who's remarkable, truly unique in his footprint and in the trail that he's blazing away. His state representative from Utah, Jason Thompson. His reputation precedes his name, and he's traveled all the way from America to India. We're so excited to have representatives and leaders from Utah in India, and they are on a very unique mission to India. And we'll get to know more about that as we go along. Jason, thank you so much for joining the show, and welcome to India, welcome to Delhi. And this is Light to Lighten's first show being recorded in Delhi, and you're my honorable guest for that.
Thank you. I'm honored. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and all you've done for us on our trip, Guru. Thank you.
So, how's it been your journey in India so far? I know you visited a few other states, and can you talk to us a little bit about how exciting India is, and as a political leader, is also a leader in other spheres, and your background speaks volumes about it. Give us a little bit of flavor about last few days in India.
Yeah, we've had the opportunity to visit multiple cities and states around the country, and I didn't quite know what to expect, to be honest, Guru, coming to India.
Yeah.
But as a business person and as a political leader, I body language is important to me. Looking at people and reading people and trying to understand what they may be thinking or feeling is important. And I think I've been so excited about what I've been able to feel from the people, and it's enthusiasm, it's happiness, it's excitement, so it's been refreshing. It's been a lot of fun to be here and to learn a little bit about India.
Interesting, you mentioned about people, and as we all know, we have 1.4 billion people, and it's a complete contrast to a few million people in Utah. But what's truly significant is we are a synergy of fastest growing economy in the world with fastest growing economy in the state that's Utah in USA, and it's really a pleasure to have you here. So let's step back a little bit to your journey where you started. What was the trigger in your childhood that got you into politics, and what is that moment that you might have captured in your childhood that's manifesting itself in your leadership, both in the house as well as in everything else you're doing to impact the society?
Oh, Guru, that's a great question. That the first thing that comes to mind is an opportunity that I had when I was 15, to go to Washington D.C. for my first time. In fact, it was my second or third time ever traveling out of my home state of Florida at the time. And I went for a program called Washington Workshops, and it's just an opportunity for you to go learn about the government and meet some government officials and go look at museums and that
Right.
kind of stuff. And while I was there, a meeting was arranged for me to meet with a member of Congress from where I live back home, and had a really good interaction with her. Had a connection through my father to her, and she said, kind of in passing, and I don't know to this day if she was joking or if she was serious, but she said, "You should consider coming to intern for me." And
Wow.
well, you don't say that to Jason and have Jason not take you up on it. So the next summer, I found myself as a 16-year-old in Washington D.C. Interning for this congresswoman. And I think the things that I learned while I was interning with her are some of the things that I think stuck with me throughout my young adult years in college, and up until I ran for my first political office, which was mayor of my city. And it was seeing the number of people that she was able to impact. She was able to be significant in her work. And I reached a point in my life where I was fortunate enough to have some business success in the first part of my life. And I found myself around the time I turned 40, I found myself really seeking something different.
You don't
Cra-
look 40 yet.
yeah, thank you, thank you. That,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, that's a good compliment. But yeah, I found myself craving more than business success. I wanted to feel fulfilled. So I read a couple books. I read a book called Halftime by Bob Buford, and another book called The Second Mountain. And really, what I took from it is, if I seek the same kind of fulfillment that I get in the second half of my life, if I seek that through the success that I had in the first half of my life, I'm probably going to be miserable. But if I spend the second half of my life trying to be significant in some way and impacting others for good, and leaving a legacy of some kind or another, then I'll find fulfillment. And that really is what has led to me running for office, and from actually me being here today.
Jason, Utah State is lucky to have you in the legislature. And I think today, given the cause that you're looking at, traveling to India to build bridges between India and Utah, I think that is going to consolidate in terms of your impact on the society, on people, not just in Utah, but also in India. And I think the Indian audience and India and people all over will be greatly benefited by your visit to India. And I wanted to kind of ask you, you pivoted from internship to business and then politics. But just a step back, can you share the name of the congresswoman you did internship for?
Yeah, her name was Ileana Ross Lehtinen.
Ileana
Ross
Ross
Lehtinen.
Lehtinen.
Yeah, Lehtinen. And she was a congresswoman from South Florida.
Ah, okay.
She's since retired. I think she's
Oh,
retired probably maybe 10 years ago,
sure.
something like that.
So she must be lucky to have had you as an intern.
Well, I don't know that she would even remember me today, quite frankly. She might, but it was the most remarkable experience
Absolutely.
that I think I could have had at that point in my life.
Absolutely. I think very few people get this opportunity to do internship in Capitol Hill or White House, and I'm so glad you took that opportunity and went with it. So when you won for the first time, uh, the election, and you were officially a legislator, what was that moment like? And also talk to us a little bit about what was the biggest political surprise after you landed in the career that you started dealing with.
Yeah, that's a great question, Guru. You know, I remember the first time after the election, walking onto the House floor. I was with one of my colleagues, Doug Fiafia. He and I were both elected to our first term at the same time, and I remember walking in and walking to my desk and seeing my little nameplate there, and
Yeah.
And Doug was right next to me, and I just remember the feeling of responsibility, and there was just a special feeling. And I looked at him, and I said, if I ever lose this feeling, that's a sign that I need to not run again.
Right.
And it was special. It was, it was really special to be able to experience that, to have that experience on the floor. It was, I think he and I were the only two in the chambers when that happened. But um, biggest political surprise, um, I was the mayor of my city, but I never had the realization that I had until my first session when I'm voting on legislation. And um, the the thing that I think hit me the hardest was the fact that no piece of legislation is perfect.
Mm.
Um, Legislation is negotiated with stakeholders, and we try and reach some kind of consensus on a policy. And the realization that if maybe I agree with 55% of the policy and I disagree with 45% of the policy, my constituents elected me to vote. So I have to cast a vote, and that it's really, really complex and complicated when it's not as simple as you voted yes for this bill or you voted no for this bill. Well, it's a lot more complicated than that. And I think that was the thing that really set in my first session is um, uh, how especially for somebody like me who likes to be a people pleaser, right? I realized very quickly that you're going to have half the people upset with you half the time and the other half happy with you half the time, and then the next day they flip, and that's
Yeah.
okay. That's okay.
So, in terms of passing bills and of course relating to constituents in your back home, uh, how bipartisan are you by nature, and how difficult it is to be bipartisan in the current political context?
Yeah, I like to consider myself bipartisan in the fact that what I am seeking is solutions.
Right.
We have very complex problems that we're dealing with. And I'm not looking for political answers. I'm looking for practical, real life answers and solutions to real problems. And so for me, I think to be bipartisan, not difficult for me by nature.
Sure.
In the political environment in which we live, it's very difficult. It's very tribal, and it takes relationships. It takes a lot of research and understanding. It takes I don't want to say compromise. I don't like the word compromise necessarily because it can be inferred that you're compromising your principles or something. But I think consensus is different than
True.
compromise, right? Consensus is we look for areas where we can agree and we work on those areas. It
Sure.
doesn't mean that I take 50% of what I want, you take 50% of what you want, and we both leave unhappy, right? So by nature, I'm a consensus seeker, and a problem solver, and that's what I'm looking to do.
I traveled with you last few days, and it was so interesting to see you mingling with people and really appreciating the culture, and your people connect. I think speaks volumes about how much you care for your people and anyone for that matter. And truly, I think leadership manifests in so many different forms. And I also understand you played a big role in some child legislation recently. Can you talk to us a little bit about your thoughts for children, and as a legislator, what are you trying to accomplish?
Yeah. This last legislative session in 2025, I passed a child tax, a bill for a child tax credit for businesses for providing childcare for employees. And business tax credits for me. or somewhere that I can lean into that, saying, "Hey, businesses, keep more of your money, keep more of your hard-earned money," um, and being able to give them a credit as an incentive to say, "Hey, now this money, if you choose to do this activity, this money is going to be there for you to recapture in a credit." Um, we have major problems in the state of Utah, as we do across the United States, with childcare. Um, in Utah, we have 14% of our childcare needs being met by in-care childcare facilities. 14%. And so when I talk to my constituents, affordability, housing affordability, the ability just to survive day to day is one of the top issues. When we look at prices and what prices have increased above all others, childcare has actually increased above even housing in in
Mhm.
in Utah, and
Is that
that
because of inflation, or there's
it's
something more to it?
it's inflation. It's a lack of supply. We have a tremendously low supply. Inflation has wreaked havoc across the United States, and especially in Utah. And what I'm trying to do, and I'm going to have more legislation coming up to address this issue in the coming session, is I'm trying to say, hey, businesses, keep your money. We're going to give you an incentive. We need to chip away at this 14% and get it much, much higher. Now, my goal here is not to provide incentives to get moms out of the household.
Right.
I want as many moms that want to and can stay at home to be able to stay at home if that's what they choose. But I am concerned that we're not that families are struggling to make ends meet. They're struggling to get to work. They're struggling to do everything that they need to do just to function as a family. And if this is a way that we can invest in families in Utah by exploring ways to bring the private sector along and to contribute to a solution to the issue, then I'm excited to be a part of that.
Are there any political situations that you find very challenging? Are there any political decisions you wish you'd taken otherwise? I know you've just begun your political journey, and we do hope to see you as president of United States someday.
I don't think that's going to be happening.
Okay, yeah. So, if you do become, I have the privilege of having interviewed you in Delhi. But that apart, are there any political situations that bother you today?
Oh, yeah, I think we could spend multiple episodes talking about political things that frustrate me, issues that become politicized, um, and where they get adopted by one party or another, so it becomes off limits for another party to work on and address. A lot of these issues are issues that, quite frankly, they're things that impact every one of our lives, and they're our problems. And I think a lot of times it detracts from our ability to come together and to find common sense solution. That's the thing that frustrates me the most, is that in our political world in which we live, it seems like common sense part of the time is completely absent.
Common sense is uncommon.
It is very uncommon
Yeah. Th-
at times, and that is probably the most frustrating part for me. Yeah.
So, is there anything you're trying to do about that?
Yeah, I'm willing to have conversations with anyone. Let's talk about the issues. Let's not talk about political talking points. I'm not interested in talking points.
Right.
Let's talk about the issues. What is the problem? What are the contributing factors to the problem? And what are potential solutions? And let's start honing in on where we can start chipping away at finding solutions. And so I think for me, the way that we do that is treating others, especially other policymakers, with dignity and respect, and being a friend, and be willing to have conversations with anyone on any issues, because you have a conversation with someone else that you stand on the opposite side of a political spectrum from
Sure.
doesn't mean you've caved on your principles. In fact, It elevates you to a position and a place where you can share your values and your principles with others and find solutions from your values. And I think we miss that in politics a lot.
Let's shift gears from politics to economy. Indo-US collaboration, the purpose for which you're here in India. There's so much said and done last 30, 40, 50 years. I think the foundational, strength of the relationship is so strong. The relationship has weathered several storms from the last, several decades, right from Nixon time to Obama and now to Donald Trump's time. I know there's a lot of noise about tariffs, and it's most talked about, spoken about. A lot has been written in the media, right? As an individual, as a legislator, as a leader, and as a well-wisher, and as a stakeholder in Indo-US relationship, what's your message to the community, not just the Indians but also the Americans?
Yeah, I think my message would be a simple one, and that is that um, relationships, no matter what, especially the ones that are most worthwhile, are complicated. They're complicated.
Right.
They require work. They require effort. And there's great moments, and there's some moments where it's just a little bit rougher and tougher, and we have to work a little bit harder together. And especially when we talk about the political dynamics, you know, the president of the United States um, will head up almost all of our foreign relations when it comes to trade, when it comes to a lot of our foreign relationships. And when we have different approaches to um, uh, trade policy and foreign affairs, depending on who's president, there can be some significant frustration in the overall relationships between those nations as a new president comes in and we're navigating to figure out
Yeah.
how to get to a place where there's fairness and equity and um, equilibrium, I think, would be another good word to use. Right now, we're in a tough spot. We're in a tough spot. The president has decided to use tariffs as a way to um, um, seek to find fair trade, and it, I'm optimistic. I'm really optimistic right now. I feel personally in the next month or 2 months potentially that there's going to be an agreement reached between the Indian government, the prime minister, and the president. But I think that there's some important hard conversations that are happening, and I don't think that those conversations necessarily reflect the relationship between the United States and India. I think there's a very strong relationship there. We're just at a moment in that relationship where there's some hard conversations being had for us to find a direction and move forward um, where where we can find win-win solutions around the globe. And I think that's what we're trying to do.
That's great. And looking at opportunities for collaboration and Utah's share in the Indo-US pie, uh, did you pick up any new ideas so far? I know your visit is still well along, a few days left by the time you return. Any initial thoughts on opportunities you see and how you would like to nurture and support the Indo-US corridor?
Yeah, we a couple of them. We have a lot of really awesome things that are happening in Utah where we're leading out on energy innovation. I definitely think that there's great conversations that we could have going forward on energy, as that's going to be one of the biggest issues facing
Right.
the world. Coal, we had some great conversations with the Minister of Commerce yesterday about cooking coal and needs that India has. We look at technology for capturing carbon and for dealing with pollution and things like that. I think there's the pharmaceutical, you name it. I think we can go through the list on places where Utah and India can collaborate and have a mutual beneficial relationship. I'm excited. If there's one word for where I'm at right now, coming out of the meetings that we've had thus far, is I'm excited, and I'm looking forward to seeing some really awesome relationships take shape and see some really good progress come from these meetings.
No, that is great. I would definitely like to continue this conversation. Maybe on next visit, talk about specific initiatives. I'd like to switch back to politics as a career. If there's a young 15-year-old boy where you started wanting to become a politician, what would your advice be to him?
Oh, that's a good question. I would usually joke right now and tell him to run as far away as he can, right?
Yeah,
But all joking aside, I would say, listen, if people don't stand up and put themselves out there and go seek to make a difference, then that's where we start to have a problem as democracies, especially in a Republican form of democracy. We need people who are willing to stand up and put themselves out there. And when I talk to schools and I talk to young kids back home, I tell them, you are the next representative. And they look at me like dumbfounded.
right.
And that's one realization that I've had at this point in my life is I always, as a 15-year-old, look to the political leaders as put them up on a big pedestal. Oh, I could never do that. I could never be that. Right. But the reality is they are our future. You are our future. And so I would say, hey, dream big, work hard, have a lot of ideas. Don't be bashful about sharing your ideas. Collaborate and work well with other people, and then go make a difference. Because that's what the world needs. The world needs difference makers. And so I just think I would convey excitement and enthusiasm to them.
I know in my network, there are a large number of young children, young adults wanting to uh, become politicians or get into politics, geopolitical careers. But many of them don't know how to do it. They don't know what is the starting point. And you mentioned you started with internship. Are there any other ideas that you can share in this podcast so that our audience takes it away and some of them take your advice and become
Yeah,
politicians?
so the that's a really good question, and I there's another thing that I think is kind of an important theme as I'm looking back on my life, is that I've been blessed to have a lot of opportunities that have been put in front of me, um, and maybe at the time they didn't really look like opportunities, but in hindsight, it's very clear that they were. But I think one important thing for all of us is when we have opportunities that are there, either they're put in front of us or they're there for somebody to take. If we don't take that opportunity, somebody else will. So take all the opportunities you can to get involved in local civic groups and local organizations. Get involved in extracurricular activities, play sports, learn how to be a leader on a team, learn how to, uh, you know, have debates and conversations with people and share your ideas and be able to receive other people's ideas. All of those types of things shape and mold someone into a person that can go and be an effective political leader. So I think taking opportunities as they're around you is an important part of getting there.
Take the opportunity and act on it. And politics is not a dangerous career. It's exciting, as you said, and I'm sure people will look up to you, Jason. Thank you so much for sharing those wonderful ideas because there are certain professions even I'm honestly very scared of. Flying, politics, being a doctor. You're also a pilot. You're a politician. You seem to be treading all the dangerous careers with so much of ease and comfort. You're probably a role model for many people watching this show. And again, we are very lucky to have you on our show. That brings us to our rapid fire round. Are you ready for that?
I'm ready. Go ahead, rapid fire. I'm ready for it.
Awesome. What's your secret to staying focused when debates get personal and heated on the House floor?
Oh, that's a really good question. There's a lesson that I've learned over the past few years is number one, things are never as good as you think they are. Number two, they're never as bad as you think they are. And number three, most of the time when we get offended, it was never personal to us anyways. We choose to be offended. So, when debates get a little bit heated, um, you know, the I find the best thing to do is to just push on through it and not. I mean, I don't take the bait. I'm not a contentious person. I don't take the bait. And I recognize, hey, politics is politics. People are going to have to say what they have to say to get their sound bites. But I think showing people dignity and respect goes a long ways, and I think that can transform as you go on in time. Those debates on the floor that where they may have been a little bit more personal or heated, maybe a little bit less because people have respect for you because you have respect for them.
Dignity and respect, so much like U-turn. And if you could change one thing in Utah politics overnight, what would it be?
Everything doesn't have to be a fight. Everything doesn't
That is so well said.
everything doesn't have to be a fight, and
Absolutely.
and every issue doesn't have to be a partisan issue. Again, I'll say it again. Almost all of these issues are issues that impact every one of us on a daily basis. They're our issues, they're our problems. It's not a Democrat issue, it's not a Republican issue, they're our issues. So are we going to work on them and make progress and get things done? Or are we going to say, no, this is their political issue, so I'm not going to touch it because, well, then I'm going to appear like I'm um, not true to my party or true to my politics. That's the one thing I would change overnight.
Everything doesn't have to be a fight, and it moves takes us to the next question about food. And sometimes we do fight about food choices at home, right? What's a local dish you'd recommend to a Utah visitor in India?
Well, when I looked at the question before, it said a spicy dish.
Right.
So I've got my answer prepared in my mind of what that would be. And ironically, maybe it's not ironic. I don't know. But the only thing that I could think of that's spicy back home, close to where I live, is tandoori oven. It's actually an Indian restaurant. It is phenomenal.
Oh, okay.
The owner is a native to India, a really good guy, but they have levels one, two, three, all the way up to 10. And I've tried level three,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you, it's pretty darn hot. I would never want to even get close to 10. But tandoori oven's great. Tikka masala every time with garlic naan. And they have cinnamon naan. That's probably an American thing. I don't know if you do cinnamon naan in India?
I think we do.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
I just haven't had any yet since I've been here, but yeah, that's the food that I would recommend.
That's making me feel hungry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm getting hungry too thinking about it.
Yeah,
So
sure. So almost at the end of the show, and
yeah.
we'll get some snacks after this. If you weren't in politics, what would you be doing now?
Oh, that's a good question. I'd probably be flying a lot more, and I'd probably be driving my wife crazy. I'm pretty confident that I would be doing that. So, politics is a good place for me. It's a place where my mind can stay active, and where I can just keep moving all the time, trying to make a difference. So,
So describe your perfect day off in 3 words. Perfect day off in 3 words.
close my eyes,
Beautiful.
sleep.
So
For some reason,
meditative. Yeah.
I don't get many days off.
Right.
I don't remember if I was talking with Representative McPherson about that. I think it was. When he said it, I was like, oh, that's exactly me. So I don't need much sleep. if I get 3 or 4 hours, I'm doing great. But there is one day, like probably every 6 months or so, where I will sleep, and I will sleep for about 24 hours straight. So a perfect day off for me is getting some rest.
And what advice would you give to a first time candidate in any election?
Uh, Hands down, work your heart out.
Work your heart out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not there to run a mediocre campaign. You're there to let people know who you are and what you stand for and the difference that you want to make. So there should be no alternative in a campaign, especially a first campaign. You have to be all in, and and that's what leads to success. That's what people want. People want people who are all in, fully invested, willing to go make a difference.
Jason, thank you so much for coming on our show, Light to Lighten. I'm sure you've shared a lot of light, new light, new rays, new hope, and new learnings. And it's very interesting to listen to someone like you who's a very unique perspective, uh, especially your balance of thought on politics and that everything need not be a fight and you can still accomplish what you need to accomplish. And from the legislative floor to the fires of family and community, you've given us a deeper look at what it means to lead with conviction and heart. To everyone listening, stay curious and stay inspired. And if anyone wants to become a politician, you have the lessons from this podcast. Jason, thank you very much and see you back again in India sometime soon.
Thank you, Guru, and
Yeah,
thank you for being such a great host for us while we've been here. Thank you.
my pleasure.